Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tuesday evening meeting of the Fairfield Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club. My name is Rick Starr. I'm the president of this club, and we meet every Tuesday evening at 7:40 or thereabouts in the Hy-Vee meeting room at the end of the ice cream aisle. The two best things, Toastmasters and ice cream. I don't know which one to put first. They're both so good. So I notice we have some guests. Would you mind? I hate to put you on the spot, but I will. I actually delight in this. Would you mind standing up and say your name and what brought you to Toastmasters? It doesn't have to be long, just 5 or 10 minutes.
I'm Angela Otis. My supporter is my daughter Tyra.
Angela, was there an Angela?
Yes.
Angela and Tyra, okay.
What brings me here is because my job. I looked up online, saw we had a Toastmasters, and decided to come and check it out after I spoke with Jean a few weeks ago.
Good.
So.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Leslie, and I heard about Toastmasters from my neighbor, Tom Trainer, who just
Tom has been known to say a word or two.
yeah. So just through a discussion, I learned that it's not just good for speaking, but for listening. So
Good.
we need some.
Thank you. So Tyra, we know why you're here. Your mom dragged you. Anything else you'd like to say? No? Okay. If anyone has a cell phone on them, please turn it off. Don't even put it in vibrate mode unless you are expecting an emergency call, because it could be distracting to our speakers. I'd like to read the mission of this Toastmasters Club. The mission of this club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. We are called Toastmasters, but there's actually a role in the meeting called the Toastmaster. The Toastmaster is kind of the master of ceremonies, and she will lead the meeting. And it's my pleasure to introduce the Toastmaster, Manoli Nayagar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and viewers at home. I would like to start off by introducing our role players. Should we start with our videographer, Dan Craig? This is Dan, everyone. The timer, Prana, will give us the objectives.
Okay, sure. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I am the timer tonight. I have a nice LED bulb here which will be keeping track of there's 3 colors. There's yellow, green, and red. So yellow is your first color, which is green is your first color, yes. And then yellow is your second color, and red is the third. So yellow is for the 4 to 6 minute speeches. Yellow's at 4. Green, man, where am I? What country am I in? I think the lights are reversed in Thailand. I was in Thailand for a little while. I'm sorry. Green is your first color. Yellow is for 5 minutes, and red is for 6. And for the 5 to 7 minute speeches, we've got 5 at green, 6 yellow, and 7 red. I don't think we have any 8 to 10 minute speeches. Table topics, we have 1 to 2 minutes. The green light will go on at 1, yellow at 1:30, red at 2, and for the evaluation portion of the meeting, we have 2 minutes, green, yellow, 2:30, red, 3, and then at the end of the meeting, we have a general evaluation by the general evaluator, and they have 3 to 4 minutes. Yeah, that's the whole timer thing. Just keep an eye on the light, otherwise you'll be disqualified. You also have 30 seconds, if you're speaking, you have 30 seconds after the red light to wrap up your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our grammarian for tonight is not here. Do we have a backup grammarian?
Want to do grammarian? Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Unless you want to do the other one.
Alright,
I'll
I'll
do
do
it.
Marion.
You can do it.
Let's see, what's my favorite words?
50.
Well, we did pithy one time. Do you have a favorite word? Radiant.
Radiant.
I think they did that
Radiant.
before.
Alright,
Oh, wait.
well, it's not.
Verdant.
Verdant, okay. Okay, so now guess, this is a little bit of a snafu because we didn't have this. So could, Rick, will you write verdant up there?
As soon as I find a marker, I will.
Okay. So my job as the grammarian is to do two things. One is to introduce the word of the day, and the second is to write down creative usages of language, things that I think are really creative, and then also language use that I think maybe needs some improvement, just a suggestion. Okay. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be giving a report at the end of the meeting, but our word for the day is verdant. It's an adjective. It's an adjective, and it means green and lush. And it's kind of like the way it looks right now outside after all of this rain. That's why I like that word. So the usage of the word would be, Dan and I drove in 14 hours from Atlanta to Fairfield on Sunday, and our yard was just verdant with rabbits running around and birds chirping in the trees. So try to use verdant tonight somewhere, and I'll make a note of that. Thank you.
Next, we have the counter. That's Fraser Jones.
So I'm the art counter for tonight. I'll be looking for the as, but, and all these filler words, and also repeats, forward starts. So that's it.
The next role is the general evaluator, and Will is out. Is there any suggestions? Rick will take the new role as general evaluator.
And we'll hear from him later.
All right, and we'll hear from him later. The next is the graded jokes master, and that's Susanna.
And we'll hear from
We'll hear from her later.
All right. All right. So the next portion of the meeting is the prepared speeches. This is where our Toastmasters choose topics from their manual, and each topic has different objectives and criteria the Toastmasters need to meet. This evening there are 3 prepared speeches. The first evaluator who will be giving the evaluation of the Toastmasters speech is Susanna McCain.
It's my pleasure this evening to introduce Marko Janic. Janic? Janic. Marko was born in Belgrade, the capital of Serbia, in 1990. He majored in environmental engineering in Serbia and moved to the United States with his family in 2012. Went back to finish his degree, came back here, has been here since 2013. Is that right, in the United States? He moved to Fairfield in August of 2016 and is now working as the director of the MUM Recreation Center. Marco's passion is to grow mentally, spiritually, personally, and physically, to evolve, to give, and to serve as many people as possible. His topic tonight in the talk that involves getting comfortable with visual aids in the manual, his topic tonight is fear.
Come on, you can do better than that. Seriously. You don't want to try it again? Fellow friends, fellow guest friends, and fellow friends at home. Today I will share a little story about myself and my own experience. When I was just a little kid, I was always avoiding conflict, even verbal or physical. I was, you could say, afraid little boy. I don't know why it was that and how, maybe because of the environment. My father was really disciplined or everything. And I don't know what was it in me that I was willing to, I was forced to like avoid the conflict. And that was happening until some point when I started standing for myself. And accidentally I met a friend from Russia. Totally, one chance I was actually talking about him. He had a tattoo on his back where it says "Stracha нет," means without fear. And I really didn't understand why he put that. Did he really mean that? Is he really walk through life without fear? And I realized through his action and what he was going through that wasn't true. He would experience fear, but he will still push through. So somehow through being friendship with him, I realized myself, and somehow unconsciously I've been affected by that. I realized that I started attacking fear. It was summer, it was around the end of the May, between April and May 2013. I was on a vacation, the last year of college. I was on a vacation with schools. It was many schools from different countries, surrounding countries. We were celebrating. There was no specific reason they were there. We were just having a good time. We were on a beach in Montenegro. The place is called Ulcin. There is a long beach, around 8 miles long. My only initial desire, intention was there just to relax and enjoy the beach and the sun. I was in relatively very good physical shape. And since the day we came, I would just go out and since the sunrise, the sunset, I would just lay down on the beach and just enjoy myself and try to get tan as much as possible. That was my goal. And somehow I succeeded at it. My friends didn't recognize me. And one day I was just laying down, enjoying myself, getting tan, being pretty. Okay, joking aside, this is a picture from that place, an event. This is me with my friends from school. This is that beach in Ocean. 2013, I was laying on the beach and I was about to pack. All my friends left, I was by myself, and I was about to leave. And I stand out and about to walk away, get my towel, and I realized in the distance people was just screaming and pointing finger further away, and I was wondering what is going on. I remember I came closer to the water, but I couldn't see. Only when you walk away, because it was started becoming windy, the clouds became, the sun got lost. It was exactly like this. So I got further away from the water, and I could see something was floating further in the distance, like around a quarter mile further away. And I saw a group of people on the beach just pointing finger and talking. And some people would start moving on it. And I started feeling something in my body. I was feeling something's not right. I have to do something. Before that, I was working as a lifeguard for 2 or 3 years back in Serbia on the lake. But it was different. This was really big waves, very current. They warned us to everybody come out of water. It wasn't a season. There wasn't any lifeguards. And usually around 20 people get drawn at this place during the season. And this is all people my age, all around people 22, 23 years old at the time, just having a good time. And then I realized when I came closer, I had to go and see what is it. And I started running. Something started rushing through my body, and I started running like crazy through water, and then I started swimming, and the big waves were going on, and I steered a group of big guys. They were much bigger and stronger than me. And then I asked them, came to them, and I saw it was a body floating. I came closer and asked them, what is going on? All panic. Why you guys nobody's trying to approach him? And then the guys start begging, please don't go. They were all afraid because they know if the current gets you, you will get drawn as well. There's no possibility to get out. So I walked looking at them. There were 10, 15 guys, much stronger, bigger than me. They were not capable. The guy was bigger and screaming, no, please don't go, you will get drawn as well. My brother's friend got drawn last year. He was trying to save somebody. It was happening like the same. And I could barely hear all these words. And then I ran through it. And in the moment, I felt that fear, and I could say, okay, I could die right now. But I didn't process that fear. I really didn't live that fear because it wasn't my life on the stake. I was seeing somebody else's life, and I didn't care so much about my life anymore. I wanted to do anything I could at that moment. So I went, and it was scary, I couldn't say, and somehow I grabbed. I just wanted to do something to be able, maybe there is some chance. And I pull him in there. When the people saw I was going, then 2 other guys followed me, and I brought him closer and pull him out. But when I left him, turn around, then I see it was too late. To not go into details, don't want to ruin your night. That boy that got drawn, he didn't get drawn because he was unafraid. It was because of his ignorance. They later realized he was drunk and doing drugs, and they all tried to warn a couple of times to get him out of the water, and took him out a couple of times, and he went back again. But I went through such an unbelievable experience myself, where I started questioning a lot of things. And until that point, I was thinking I'm invincible, unbreakable, and I can do anything and everything. But also, I still think that. That didn't change a lot. That didn't change a lot, but at the same time, I realized how fragile I am and how this life can disappear so quickly. And my theme for tonight, it is fear. It is fear. But you know, fear can be very useful. When we started as humanity, fear was serving us just to keep us alive, save us from saber-toothed tigers in the bushes, so we can acknowledge the real danger. But there is a difference between the tiger in the mind and the real tiger who is going to eat you. And I do believe that we all live the tiger in our minds throughout every day, and it stops us from our real life, true living. I truly believe we all have dreams, desires, and wants that we want to acquire and accomplish in our lifetime. I'm asking you, whether you're alive, face your fear. One of my favorite authors and writers says, "The cave you fear to enter, hold the treasure you seek." That's Joseph Campbell. And that is so true. I realize on my life many experiences, and I'll say in some other talks, but whenever you face your fear disappears, and it just turns into love, and you realize the fear is opportunity for growth.
Mr. Timer, could you please give us 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker?
Yes.
Thank you. Our next speaker call upon Ms. Art Atkinson, and he will be introducing the next speaker.
Thank you, Minoli. My role tonight is to evaluate a speech to be given by Dennis Gomez, a relatively new member of our club. Dennis is an electrical engineer. He attended North Dakota State University studying electrical engineering. He likes soccer, hiking, and an array of young masculine interests like beer. Tonight his project is How to Say It. His title is Like a Boss. And the project calls for him to say it with vivid, descriptive words, to use short, compact, punchy sentences, to use what we call rhetorical devices, similes, metaphors, hyperbole. In other words, to give us as colorful and vivid and powerful, clear presentation of his topic as possible. It's about word choice. It's about avoiding jargon. So please join me in welcoming Dennis Gomez, Like a Boss.
Like a boss. Nice. Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and honored guests. Studies show that dressing well dressing with business attire gives you 3.5 times more likely chance of success at establishing yourself as a leader. Dressing well is a proven way to improve and maximize your workplace performance. And I'm going to tell you why. Formal fashion wear in the workplace can make you look like a boss and feel like a boss. There are lots of different things we need to do, and we can always improve. I'm going to tell you 3 today. We need to further improve our sense of even greater self-confidence. We need to further improve our sense of productivity. And we need to make sure that everyone in this country with so much wealth can afford to dress well on their interview and at their job. Dressing well is a proven way that one can feel more and more self-confident and feel their self-worth. Having a great new pair of shoes, or just being able to brush off your new slacks in the morning, it makes you really feel great. And more importantly, people notice your new self-confidence radiates among everyone in such a verdant environment. And it can be verdant in terms of money that your company is gaining because of your superior performance, or it can be clearly improved just because people enjoy being around you even more than they already did. The facts are very clear that when you dress well, you emanate a greater feeling of self-confidence that can really help your relationships with your coworkers, with yourself, and you can even intimidate your competition at times. There are lots of great new benefits to doing such a thing as dressing up even more. another thing we need to consider is that would you dress in a nice new shirt and just go and slouch on the edge of something that could be making it look a little bit funny and making it look dirty? You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be spilling coffee on your new jeans, formal jeans, or your slacks, or your shoes. And the facts are that being well dressed at work can make you more productive as well, and that's proven. Having greater access and having a greater feel that you prepared yourself well that morning makes you already in the mindset, in the zone, to feel focused, and you're ready to do the job as best as you possibly can for yourself and for everyone. In the morning, consider having a little bit of coffee in moderate amounts, but skip the heart palpitating excess espresso, the triple shot, next time you go through Caribou Coffee right over here. Because I'm going to tell you why you don't need that. All you got to do is dress well. You need to dress like a boss next time, and then you're going to be feeling a lot better and more confident and more productive at your workplace. That increased productivity can emanate among your peers in the workplace as well as yourself. It gets not only yourself in a better mood, and it also gets everybody else in a mindset that this team is serious, which you need to do sometimes, as well as throwing a couple of jokes here and there. While we look at all these benefits, we need to consider how much wealth there is in this country and in this world that's growing even more, day to day. Why don't we make sure also that everybody can have better access to dressing well, when we know in this country there are lots of people who can barely afford to eat? We need to be sure that they can have access to dressing well, so they can, if they want to improve themselves in the workplace, they have access to step up the educational and professional ladder. There are many programs such as Dress for Success and Career Gear that help both young, middle-aged, old, all ages of men and women get either being able to rent or be able to buy formal clothing at an affordable price. We need to ask ourselves how we can improve this country in general, strengthen it even more, and that's something that we can all work on. Try donating today if you have any excess clothing to these organizations. Additionally, some universities such as Kansas State, I believe, and North Dakota State University, just throwing it out there, no conflict of interest at all, support these programs, as many students do, and they understand the need for affordable attire to go up the ladder. As I've listed all of these benefits to you guys, I want you to remember today that dressing up formal attire can help you feel even a further sense of self-worth, can bolster your productivity even more in the workplace, and we need to make sure everyone can do this at an affordable price so we can become an even stronger world and a stronger nation. I want you to go try it tomorrow, whenever you can next. Dress well, you're going to look like a boss, and you're going to feel like a boss. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Our next speaker, I'd like to invite start up is Emery. My bad. Mr. Timer, could you please give us 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker? Thank you. Our next speaker I'd like to invite up is Emily Stein.
Thank you, Melanie. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, it's my privilege to introduce Andal Krishna, who will be speaking from the Advanced Manual Speaking to Inform. She'll be giving her first speech from that manual. And her objectives in this speech are to select a new and useful information to present to the audience, to organize the information for easy understandability and retention, and to present the information in a way that will help motivate you to learn. And her speaking time is 5 to 7 minutes. Andal is a biotechnologist by education and also by profession. She works with the modern food industries, but she believes in the ancient method of treatment when it comes to her own health and the health of her family. When there's an imbalance in the body causing disease, where does she go? Her first aid kit is the spice rack in her kitchen. So here's Andal speaking on the benefits of herbs and spices. Please welcome Andal.
According to the World Health Organization, 75% of the world population uses herbs for their primary health illnesses. Since the dawn of mankind, the use of herbs has always offered an effective medicinal purposes in treating the illnesses. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honorable guests, and viewers at home. I grew up watching my grandparents and my elderly members in the family treating us with herbs and spices when I was growing up. That's what I follow for my family, for my kids. When they come home saying that hurt or when they're with pain, this is my first aid kit, which is in my kitchen rack, which really helped me a lot at times when I really need. Home remedies has always been used by different cultures throughout the world. I think for one reason, because it's easy, accessible, inexpensive, and it still continues even today. It's very popular that most youngsters preferably try to use home remedies because they want to take a holistic approach for their ailments. Well, traditionally in India, it's a practice that every home in the front yard have a small garden where they grow all the medicinal plants. And the main, or every house would have a basil plant, and it's considered to be very holy, and it is treated like God. You have to bathe before even going closer to the plant, and then you light a lamp, go around the plant to even pick one leaf from the plant, and then the leaf that we pick, we put it in a bowl of water with silver. The bowl which is made with a silver metal. The water is placed with the leaf, and it is let sit for few hours, and then it is consumed by the family members. Basil has enormous properties to keep our health in a complete balance. Just consuming one basil leaf every day would keep you in full alignment without any stress, and your blood pressure is under control. You are in perfect shape. So, I mean, our nature has blessed us with power of potent with all these herbs and spices. I don't know, sometimes we don't realize how much of medicinal value these herbs contain in them. I'm just going to show you some of the herbs that I use in everyday. These are cardamom seeds. They're tiny seeds, brown in color. They have very strong smell. This is very good when you have cough and cold, chest congestion. You can make tea out of these seeds and drink every day. And then within a couple of days, you get relief. This is cumin seeds. These seeds are very good for your skin. You can make tea out of it and consume it every day. It helps you to have a nice radiant skin. Black pepper. When consumed black pepper, it helps to increase the hydrochloric acid in your stomach and in turn helps in your digestion. Fennel seeds. It's green in color, and this cools your body when this is consumed in your food, or you can make tea out of it. This is fenugreek seed. This helps in blood control of blood sugar level. When you are diabetic, you can take 1 spoon of this seed, soak it in water, and you can either grind it to paste or you can chew them. They are soft. Cinnamon sticks, which is has multiple benefits, health benefits. It's good in keeping control of your body balance. It is good in arthritis. It helps in pain with arthritis. Turmeric powder is considered to be the gold spice because it has multiple benefits. It helps in Alzheimer's disease. Studies have shown that Indians have less Alzheimer's, maybe because we as an Indian consume a lot of turmeric in our diet. It helps reduce Parkinson's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and it's a good antibiotic. And I remember when I was growing up, whenever we would have a bruise or fall down from anywhere, the first thing my mom would do is take a little bit of turmeric, mix it with oil, and apply it, and we are all better within a day or two. This is mustard seed. Mustard seeds are rich in so many vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin K, minerals, and calcium, iron, and fiber, and rich in omega-6 and 3. Well, it helps in good hair growth. If you're losing hair, you should consume more mustard seeds. I already see someone here. Well, I made a paste which I use sometimes when my kids have injured their leg or hand and have bruises with when they have muscle tear. This is a good paste which helps to recover. This is 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder and 1 teaspoon of all-purpose flour mixed in a water, and you have to cook it until it becomes sticky. And then I would always prefer to use my fingers when applying. It should be really hot, but when you apply the place where it is bruised and then tie it with a cloth, and then you're all set, and you get out of the pain. So I just wanted to share all this benefits about the herbs and spices. And I would recommend that if you consume these spices every day in your food, it's hard to remember each spice with the benefits, but if you can combine at least 2 spices and then eat in your food, it actually adds better aroma and taste to your food, at the same time gives health benefits. So I would recommend for you to start using your spices in your food. Thank you.
Thank you, Anda. Mr. Timer, could you please give us 2 minutes to evaluate the speaker? Mr. Timer, would you please let us know which speaker is qualified?
I'm gonna have to say, according to my clock, nobody qualified, unfortunately. Sorry.
So no,
No qualifying speakers.
no one
Nobody
qualified.
qualified. 0. Zilch. So we go on to the next portion of the meeting.
Alright, so the next portion of the meeting is the evaluation of the speakers. I would like to call on the general evaluator, Rick Starr.
Table topics.
Oh, well, it was.
Oh, you're right. Good, she's got all of that.
Thank you. In Toastmasters, we learn public speaking skills in a number of ways. You just heard prepared speeches, which are generally longer speeches, and the objectives of each speech we get from a manual. The second way we learn better speaking skills is we're evaluated by our peers. Toastmasters has no professional teachers. We help each other. This is a safe, supportive environment, and we evaluate each other in a positive, friendly way. And now we'll have the evaluations of the speeches. And first, I'd like to introduce Susanna McCann, who will evaluate Marcus.
I felt that Marco's speech was a riveting account of a very powerful personal experience, and very effectively dealing with the issue of fear. For this project, I'll come back to that in a moment. For this project, as the guests will note, the speeches from this Confident Communicator manual, each speech has a particular point that you're supposed to emphasize. And the speech that Marco gave today had to do with getting comfortable with visual aids. And so there were questions about, were the visual aids appropriate for the speech and the message? And I would say yes. In a way, the topic itself, in a sense, didn't lend itself to really heavy use of visual aids as much as some other topics could have. But considering what the topic was, it seemed that the pictures of my friends on the beach, the way everything turned dark when it was stormy, these helped convey the feeling of the event and what was going on. And then, of course, the graphic saying fear. So I would say this was at least satisfactory, and it did help enrich the experience of the talk. Were the visual aids clearly visible? Somewhat, considering the smallness of the room, you may have held them up a little bit longer so people could really get it a little bit more, or maybe even talk some while you were also holding them. Did you use the visual aids smoothly and confidently? Yes. How clear was your purpose? It was pretty clear. This was one suggestion I have, possibly for improvement. The story you told was very fascinating and I think probably very engaging to people listening to it. And the only suggestion I have really, you had some more general points about fear and encouraging people not to be stopped by their fears and to go ahead and face their fears. You might have tied your experience in with that a little bit more directly. You know, I was afraid, I went ahead and did it. This is how I felt afterwards. I was glad that I had done it. You know, something like that. And after I did something like that, nothing else looks terribly. You know, other things will not make me as afraid. You know, something like that. Did the speaker use body language to reinforce the message? A nice, comfortable use of body language. Was the speaker's word choice effective? Yes. I'm not sure verdant was mentioned. But I felt that it was overall a very interesting and powerful speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. And now I'd like to introduce Art, who will give an evaluation of Dennis's speech. Art.
Thank you, Rick. So I left out by accident a key part of the introduction that Dennis gave to me, which was that he enjoys a nice pair of slacks. A nice pair of new slacks. One of the things that I liked most about this talk that he just gave to us was that he was dressed to illustrate the point of his talk. The other thing that I liked a lot about it was just his command of the room, his command of his material, and his commanding way of delivering his talk. He started out by saying, this is the way you want to dress, and I'm going to tell you why. There was no doubt about his purpose for this talk. I'm going to go through the points of the manual. Was the speech topic appropriate for the assignment? Yes. The assignment was word choice, metaphor and simile and hyperbole, organization. His organization was very clear. It was about improving confidence, having more preparation before you go to the interview or the job that you're doing, and about the influence that you have over others that your manner of dress conveys. Did he use short, simple, clear words? I thought that was fine. Did he use vivid, descriptive words that created mental images? Not particularly, but I thought it was satisfactory. Did he use words that had more than one meaning or that were vague or inaccurate? I thought that he used good, clear words that had no ambiguity to them. Were his sentences short, simple, and understandable? I thought definitely yes. Did he use rhetorical devices to enhance his ideas? Well, his topic, like a boss, is a rhetorical device. That's what we call a simile. Everyone has probably had a boss and knows how the boss has influence. Did he avoid jargon and unnecessary words? I thought he did a good job of that. Did he use proper grammar and pronunciation? I didn't notice any poor grammar or pronunciation. It was satisfactory. The speech purpose, I thought, was very clear. He made it clear, and he kept coming back to it as he went through his points about confidence, preparation, and influence. What could he have done differently to make it more effective? Well, at one point, he made a claim and he said, that's proven. And I think it would have been helpful if you could have brought forward the reference, proven by whom what kind of context was sort of studied. And I think it would have been a powerful thing for you to involve the audience. Who in here has ever dressed poorly for work and felt like they wanted to hide a little bit while they were at work? Can I see a show of hands? Has it ever happened to anybody? Who has had the experience he was talking about where you dressed really well for your work or for your interview and you felt the confidence that he was talking about? I would have asked the audience those questions. I think it would have made your talk stronger. Mr. General Evaluator.
And for our final evaluation, Emery will evaluate Andal's speech. Emery.
Thank you. Again, Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, and especially in Andal. I haven't been to Andal's house, but I can just picture a verdant garden of herbs and spices out the back door near the kitchen. Andal's mission was to present an interesting talk with clear organization, support her points with statistics, quotes, experts' opinion. And I think the most powerful expert's opinion we heard, you might want to change my light there,
Yes.
was her own personal testimony. This is something she grew up with, and relating it from the time she was a child through her adult life, and knowing that she is trained to be a biotechnologist gave her just a tremendous amount of credibility to my way of thinking. Some questions here in the evaluation. What made the speech interesting? Again, it was that personal knowledge, the hands-on demonstration and explanations. Additionally, that smell coming out of that tin was very captivating. So when you can involve the senses of your audience, you have them in the palm of your hand. How effectively did the speech opening capture and hold your attention? She opened with a statistic that 70% of the world population uses herbs and spices for health reasons. I think that kind of shines a light on the United States as being behind the curve. It's probably the rest of the world is smarter than us about that. How comfortable and familiar did the speaker appear to be with the material? Extremely so, because it's something you grew up with, Andal. You're very comfortable and passionate about it. I really felt that when you stepped out here and started using your hands so expressively. Organizational structure of the speech, you opened with a statistic, you gave your own personal history and connection with this. You pulled out the tin that you use in your own household and went through it, showing us and explaining various spices and their benefits. How did you encourage the audience to learn? Well, you involved our senses and you showed us the product, item by item. You related it to our common experience and knowledge. What could you have done to make it more effective? I would have just called attention to the smells, asked people if they're smelling that. I would like to have heard you relate your personal kind of family lore to your professional training. And I would like to have heard you cite a study or two, and not just your personal experience, but add to that on the benefits of these things. Your strongest assets, personal testimony and enthusiasm. Loved your clothes with a recommendation to start using spices and foods. Good speech.
Thank you, Emery. I mentioned there's two ways we learn to develop our communication skills: prepared speeches, evaluation, and there's a third way, and that is table topic speeches. Table topics are short, impromptu speeches, a minute or two long, and you don't even know the topic until you walk up here. So it requires a certain amount of courage to do this. Tonight's meeting theme is National Teachers' Day. And there's a quote from William Arthur Ward: "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires." So who is our first volunteer? Whoa, step right up. Marco. I just said that the great teacher inspires. I'll take that, thank you. I don't know how emotional you'll be with this. The great teacher inspires. Tell us about a teacher who inspired you.
Thank you. So I just started high school. I was actually it wasn't just started, I was the second year of my high school. And my teacher switched from, I don't know how is the system here in the United States, but we have a teacher that is responsible for us. We have different teachers teaching us different classes, but there's one main teacher that's responsible for our grade. And that teacher was the lady that came. I was thinking she was the witch. She was the toughest lady I ever saw in my life. I was thinking she's gonna destroy us. I told my mother, I told my family, this is the worst person ever. I never saw the worst teacher than her. And everybody was scared from the first day from her. I heard all the bad rumors and nobody was getting good grades. But that lady changed my life. I love her, and I'll never forget how much she affected my life. The way she was. She wasn't teaching, preaching, but the way she was. She was always giving more than she was saying. She was delivering, and she was caring. She saw the sun in me, and she was standing for me behind me where everybody turned their back on me. So I realized even when how short-sighted it is to make assumptions about something that you don't know, especially about a person that you don't know. And when you make assumptions, it would be so wrong that lady, her name is Dragana, she literally changed my life. Because of her, I went to college. I was the first one to finish my generation college. And whenever I accomplish something that I'm proud of myself, I remember her as well. So, yeah, she is the inspiration for me.
Who else would like to volunteer? Now, guests can volunteer to come up and give a table topic speech. Looks of terror on your faces as I mentioned that. That's okay. Maybe you'll feel different in a minute or two. So who else? What other team member would like to give? Art, come on up. Were you ever a teacher? So this isn't a hypothetical question. If you were a teacher now, what subject would you teach?
Good evening, guests at home, guests here, and fellow Toastmasters. Yes, I was a teacher briefly for a portion of one quarter, I taught a group of young men in 8th grade something about computer programming. And I have to admit, I was lousy at it. I thought I was well prepared and that I knew my topic, but I didn't anticipate the challenges of conveying what I knew to these young men. But what really interests me is the last question about a teacher who really inspired me. And the man who, as a teacher, gave me the most inspiration was actually not a teacher in school. When I was younger than everybody in this room, when I was in high school, I was a member of an orchestra called the Seattle Youth Symphony, which is a nationally recognized youth orchestra now, and at the time was just beginning to form that reputation. And the conductor of that orchestra was a Hungarian man living and working as a professor of music at the University of Washington. His name was Willem Sokol. And this orchestra was 105 to 110 young people of high school age with spectacular skills. I was at the time a bassoon player, and I studied orchestral music and played in this orchestra under this man's direction. And he had the amazing capacity to mold a group of young, teenage musicians into a team, a group of people who loved to work together. He took us all over the Puget Sound and Pacific Northwest area, and I got the education of my life watching this man exude leadership, love of music, and inspiration to all of us. Thank you for bending me that.
We'll only have 2 table topics tonight. Time's a little short. Mr. Timer, could you tell us which table topic speakers qualify?
I believe both Marco and Art qualified.
Okay. So you'll notice you each have ballots, and one of the sections of the ballot is best table topics. So please vote for either Marco or Art. Welcome back. And now I'd like to ask Jean Symington Craig to come up and evaluate table topic speakers. Jean.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests and viewers at home. Well, shoot, I like evaluating table topics, and I only get 2 of them tonight. So I don't know what happened. All you speakers that went over time, I'm taking that personally. You didn't give me enough time for table topics. All right, enough said. So I do have 2 people I get to talk about.
Is it quality or quantity?
Pardon?
Quality.
It's quality and quantity. All right, okay, so point taken, point taken. So my first table topics evaluatee is Marco. And one thing I liked about Marco was he did have a great contrast for an opening. He started out talking about this teacher that was so tough, and he said she was a witch, and we've had people like that. But then he paused, and then he said, "But she changed my life." I love it when I get like a whiplash kind of contrast like that. So that was really nicely done. He also did another one of my favorites, which is a conclusion that restates or relates back to the opening. So he finished up, he nailed it with, it's the landing, it's that gymnastic landing, so this was the person that I gained a lot of inspiration from. And that was the initial question that he was asked. So it's that looping back around, makes it very coherent and easily digestible, with or without spices. A suggestion for Marco is voice was fading at spots. Just a little bit of going in, not being able to hear. You want to make sure that people in the very, very back can hear that. And then one more thing, because Marco is already past vocal variety as a project, is I would like to see Marco with just more vocal variety. Just try getting louder, getting softer, maybe going a little faster sometimes, slowing it down. Pauses. That was a good pause that he did when he did the contrast. But just more vocal variety. He's kind of got this mid-tone. I'd like to see him add more texture. Okay? Art. Art answered the question little bits, something he had taught, and then he segued, which is what we call it when you gently try to move the topic back to something that you would rather talk about. Now, in my book, a segue gives you some minus points because I feel like you dodged the question. That's my personal thing. But if you do a segue well, don't completely just go, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this. You address it a little bit and then you move it around. Then you can regain that point that I had initially lopped off of your score. Oh, I'm tough tonight. So Art made up the point. He did a very graceful segue. He gave a delightful story about this Seattle symphony, went around the world, or went around the Puget Sound. Maybe the world was the Puget Sound at that point. It was a nice talk, and it addressed the topic that he wanted to talk about, which was the inspiration topic. Art, to the degree that you can, I would suggest for you a little more projection, kind of the same thing I was saying to Marco, a little, towards the back seats, if possible. And also you could add a little bit of gestures, something about, just a little something going there to make it a bigger talk. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I feel like I ran out of, I just, I mean, I haven't even hit the green yet. Unbelievable.
Keep going, Jean.
This is not my problem usually. I'm usually on the other end. 30 seconds?
Yeah. So tell us a joke.
Well, I haven't seen any lights.
I know. You have 30 seconds till the green.
Till the green? Are you serious? Wow. I don't know about that.
You have 3 to 4 minutes as a general evaluator.
No, I'm not general evaluator. I'm just the evaluator. Okay.
Thank you,
Well,
Jean.
Well, wait.
We're running kind of short. Thank you, Jean.
Wait.
Yay!
All right, there it goes.
Generally, if a speaker runs long, we clap them off. It's the only time I can remember having to clap an evaluator off. One thing, Jean, we can't fault her for not being enthusiastic. Mr. Timer, could you tell us which evaluators, including Jean, qualified?
All right. Well, Jean did qualify, and so did Susanna and Art. Susanna and Emery. Art went over. So basically, starting, we have Susanna, Emery, and Jean.
Okay, thank you. So if you would use your ballot and vote for best evaluator, and the candidates are Susanna, Emery, and Jean. Welcome back. Now it's time for reports. And I'd like to call on the counter. Fraser, please give us your report.
Okay, Marco Gianni, he had 1 arm or arm, 2 arms, 1 leg. Andal, she had 2 ears, 2 arms. Dennis, Gomez, yeah. 2 false starts. Susanna, 2 arms, 1 butt, 1 false start. Arts, I did not. Okay. Not that. Emery, yeah, 1 art, 2 arms, 1 hand. Marco, that's in table topics, right? 1 UNRWA, 1 arm, 1 Xerox. Jean had 1 R, 1 and, 3 Xerox, and 1 false start. And art, I didn't get anything back.
I'll pay you later.
Art was clean.
Thank you, Mr. Oddcounter. Mr. Timer, could you give us the timer's report, and while you're standing, give us the grammarians report?
I'd love to give you the grammarians.
Good, and Jean, after that, we'll give you the grammarians.
I can give you the grammarians. A lot of people use the word of the day. Okay. Okay, Marco, you had a 5 to 7 minute speech. You had 8 minutes. Dennis, you had a 5 to 7 minute speech. You had 7 minutes and 35 seconds. Andal, you had a 5 to 7 minute speech, and you had 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So, just facts, you know. Just that's what happened. Marco, table topics. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Art, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Susanna, evaluation, 3 minutes and 14. Art, 3 minutes and 33. Emery, 3 minutes and 29. And Jean, somewhere in the 2 to 3 range. Sorry, I didn't actually get your time, but I think you qualified. So that's everything. Thank you.
Jean, please give us the grammarians report.
Okay. Good. Okay, people who use the word. Dennis used the word, and he did use it the best. Emery used it, and also used it pretty well, as I recall. Susanna noted that Marco hadn't used it, but so I guess that counts as you using it. And then, in terms of usage, I liked, Dennis said he used emanates several times. Excellent word. Confidence emanates. It was just great. Susanna account was riveting. I like that word. I kind of focus on vocabulary that captivates. And speaking of captivating, Emery talked about captivating smell when he was talking about Andal. Art, the challenges in conveying what I knew. I like that word, conveying. Marco had some tiger analogy going on. I was too caught up on what was happening on the beach. I hadn't quite gotten into my hat on the grammarian. But there was a tiger analogy that was in there that I remember thinking was appropriate, but I can't tell you what it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Susanna, tell us a joke.
All right. Well, up at the pearly gates, things were getting sort of crowded, and so St. Peter told the person at the gates, well, we're not really going to let anybody in today unless they had a really, really bad day and they really need help. So ask them about their day when they come. So the first person came up to the pearly gates and the gatekeeper said, "How was your day?" And he said, "It was really terrible." He said, "I was worried that my wife was having an affair, so I came home early, and sure enough, I sort of saw somebody flitting off somewhere, and I went out, and there was a guy hanging from the balcony by his fingers. So I beat on his fingers. He dropped onto the bushes, so he wasn't really hurt that badly, so I threw a refrigerator over the balcony." and finally got him. And so I said, well, that does sound pretty bad. I guess we'll let you in. And so then the next person comes up and they say, well, what was your day like? And he said, it was really bad. I was up on the balcony very innocently doing calisthenics. And I accidentally overreached and fell off the balcony, but I managed to catch myself by the fingers of the balcony down below. And then somebody came and started beating on my fingers, and I dropped onto this bush. And then this refrigerator landed on my head. That's terrible. Yes, you can come in. So the next one came up, and St. Peter said, well, but tell us about your day. And he said, well, I was naked, hiding in a refrigerator. And you know the rest of the story.
I think you enjoyed that joke more than anybody. Alrighty, now I shall do a speedy evaluation of the evaluators. Purpose of evaluation is two things: to see if the speaker met the objectives of the project, and secondly, to uplift the speaker. Susanna, you started out great, a great opening to your evaluation. You went through several things where you felt Marco didn't meet the criteria of using multimedia or using visual aids, which was good. My only suggestion would, you start out with something positive and then you made a bunch of suggestions, maybe as a balance end with something positive. Kind of have that sandwich effect. Art, you start out with humor, as you often do. It's very good, nice, gentle humor. You gave some positive comments, and you gave some suggestions where he said that's proven. You would have liked to see some statistics. The only thing I would suggest is this is supposed to be a project for using rhetorical devices, and whereas the title was a rhetorical device, maybe you could have commented on that there wasn't many besides that. Emery, you greeted the audience when you started. You were very positive we went through the objectives, you were very positive about that. And one thing I liked, you gave good gestures. You demonstrated how she could have used gestures in pulling out the spices. Jean, you did a good job on two people, giving it one positive comment and one suggestion. And you, as always, were very enthusiastic, used great vocal variety, and you gave some subtle comments on subtle aspects of your speeches. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce our Toastmaster, Manoli, who will give out the awards. Thank you.
All right, for the awards, we will start off.
That's for somebody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
keep that.
Marco Yannick gets the Get Comfortable with Visual Aids. Second award goes to Dennis for his Competitive Communication Manual for How to Say It. The next one goes to Andal Krishna for the Speak to Inform. Sorry. The Best Speaker for table topics goes to Marco Yannick. And the best evaluator goes to Emery Stein.
Thank you. I'd like to ask our guests, any comments? And name one thing that you liked about Toastmasters. Angela, you want to start?
For my first night experience, I enjoyed it. I'll be back to check it out again.
Good, good. You're more than welcome. Leslie?
Thank you.
That you stay on task. It's really, with group dynamics, sometimes that's difficult, and it's really great to witness that and maybe learn that.
Good, thank you.
I enjoyed the different variety of topics, the speeches, table topics.
Good, thank you very much. First time I came to Toastmasters, the reason I started is because the meeting started and ended on time. And that's one of my pet peeves, and I never see that anyone else. I want to thank you all for coming, and hope to see you next week. Thank you.